Every person you meet carries a silent story in their posture, their words, and the smallest flicker of expression. Most of us miss these signals entirely, walking through life blind to the hidden truths in human behavior. But what if you could learn to read these subtle cues, to understand what people truly think, feel, and intend? The law of human nature teaches that behavior is a language, and those who master it gain an extraordinary advantage. The ability to navigate complex relationships, anticipate actions before they happen, and influence outcomes with clarity and confidence. By becoming a master interpreter of human cues, you don't just observe the world. You begin to understand it at its deepest, most powerful level. Every day, without fail, human beings reveal themselves in ways they do not intend. A raised eyebrow, the tightening of a jaw, the restless tapping of fingers. All are cues that point to emotions, attitudes, and hidden truths. Most people move through life oblivious to these signals, focusing only on words while missing the symphony of nonverbal communication that accompanies them. But those who learn the art of interpreting such cues gain an extraordinary advantage: the ability to see beneath the surface of social interaction and to grasp the reality of people's character. The law of human nature teaches us that if you pay attention, you will discover that every individual is constantly broadcasting their inner world. Mastering this law can make you not just more perceptive, but also more effective in relationships, work, and leadership. At its core, this law is about awareness. We live in an age dominated by appearances, where image often outweighs substance. Social media profiles, curated lifestyles, and carefully constructed conversations attempt to mask who people really are. Yet no matter how sophisticated the performance, true feelings and motivations leak out. The nervous laughter in a business meeting, the dismissive glance during an argument, or the tone of voice that carries impatience. These are all revelations. When you cultivate the habit of observing these subtle signals, you become less vulnerable to deception. You begin to see people as they are, not as they claim to be. Consider the realm of leadership. A manager who takes words at face value may believe that their team is enthusiastic about a new project simply because everyone nods in agreement. But the perceptive leader notices the hesitant body language, the crossed arms, and the lack of genuine eye contact. These cues reveal reluctance, even resistance. By addressing those unspoken concerns, the leader prevents problems that would otherwise surface later. The ability to read people, therefore, is not just a social skill, it is a safeguard against failure. Leaders who master this law gain loyalty and trust, because their followers sense that they are understood. In personal relationships, the same principle applies. Many conflicts stem from misunderstanding or ignoring emotional cues. A friend who suddenly grows quiet, a partner who avoids certain topics, or a colleague who withdraws from conversation is rarely acting without reason. Yet most people either dismiss these signs or misinterpret them. To be a master interpreter is to notice these shifts and to respond thoughtfully. It means recognizing when silence speaks louder than words, when a forced smile conceals frustration, and when enthusiasm is genuine rather than staged. Such awareness transforms interactions, deepening bonds and preventing small cracks from widening into fractures. The power of interpreting cues lies not only in understanding others but also in protecting oneself. People who cannot read signals are often the easiest to manipulate. They fall for charm, flattery, or superficial displays of confidence, while overlooking the subtle signs of arrogance or dishonesty. History is filled with examples of individuals who placed their trust in charismatic figures, only to discover betrayal. By contrast, those who trained their perception, who noticed the tension between a person's words and their gestures, or the inconsistencies between promises and micro-expressions, were better equipped to resist deception. Mastery of this law builds a kind of emotional armor. You remain open, but you are not easily fooled. To cultivate this skill requires patience and practice. The first step is simply to slow down and pay attention. Modern life encourages constant distraction, yet true perception demands focus. Begin by observing without judgment. How do people's faces change when they are uncomfortable? What does their posture reveal when they are confident versus insecure? Over time, patterns emerge. You start to see that cues are like a second language, one that can be learned as surely as vocabulary. Each gesture, each tone, each pause becomes part of a larger narrative. Equally important is learning to interpret cues in context. A single gesture isolated from the moment can be misleading. Someone crossing their arms might be defensive, or they might simply be cold. A smile could signify warmth, or it could mask hostility. The master interpreter considers the situation, the person's baseline behavior, and the surrounding environment before concluding. This prevents misjudgment and sharpens accuracy. In this sense, reading people is less about instant assumptions and more about building a nuanced portrait over time. There is also an ethical dimension to this law. With great perception comes the temptation to manipulate. If you can detect people's insecurities, you could exploit them for personal gain. But the deeper purpose of mastering human cues is not manipulation, it is alignment. By seeing people clearly, you position yourself to act wisely. You know whom to trust, how to communicate effectively, and when to step back from destructive dynamics. Your insight becomes a force for stability rather than exploitation. Integrity amplifies the power of perception, ensuring that your skill serves both yourself and others. Moreover, becoming a master interpreter enhances self-awareness. As you learn to decode the signals of others, you inevitably reflect on the signals you emit. Are you unintentionally revealing doubt through nervous habits? Are you conveying arrogance when you mean to show confidence? Self-observation, coupled with the awareness of how others perceive you, creates a feedback loop of growth. You not only read others more clearly, but also refine your own presence in the world. The practical applications are vast. In negotiations, recognizing hesitation can prompt you to adjust your offer at the right moment. In teaching or public speaking, noticing disengagement allows you to shift your energy to recapture attention. In friendships, perceiving subtle changes in mood helps you provide support before issues escalate. The law of human nature, once mastered, transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for deeper connection and better outcomes. Yet perhaps the most profound benefit lies in wisdom. To interpret human cues is to appreciate the complexity of people. It teaches humility. No one is ever entirely transparent, and no signal is absolute. You learn to approach others not with suspicion, but with curiosity. You recognize that behind every cue lies a human story. Fears, hopes, desires, and contradictions. This awareness fosters empathy, because you no longer see people as static roles but as dynamic beings, constantly revealing fragments of their inner lives. In a world where deception, distraction, and surface impressions dominate, the ability to read people deeply is rare. It sets you apart, granting insight where others remain blind. The law will indeed make you a master interpreter of the cues that people continually emit, and with it, you gain more than perception, you gain freedom. Freedom from manipulation, freedom from shallow judgment, and freedom to connect authentically with those around you. The choice is yours, to live in the fog of appearances, or to cultivate the clarity that comes from mastering the signals of human nature.